the question.
Okay, so let's go back to this. How many everyone has to write a hypothesis for all your labs. The second part is there's 2 tables that you will put on your lab report. Your analysis include, coming back to your question.
If you've already answered and didn't write it that way, should we redo them?
Well, make sure that your answer that you wrote tells me that it indicates what the question was. So you might just have to add a little preface to it or a conclusion to it. Real world chemistry. Again, questions to answer in it. Sometimes they're called further investigations, but you will always know there's going to be some little extra things to do on your lab reports. Then, when you get to the very bottom, this is where the meat is. This is where you need to know stuff. Your conclusion. What did you learn in regard to your hypothesis? On this one, your hypothesis is based upon safety, correct? If I do safety, and in my conclusion, I talk about the sand and salt mixture, it doesn't match. It doesn't make sense, does it? Therefore, I wouldn't use it. I'm not going to talk about salt and sand. I'm going to talk about safety in the classroom. The whole point of this lab is to teach safety, so write your conclusion about safety. It was like some things, like you found out things. This was a pretty simplistic lab where you really just needed probably to wear goggles, maybe goggles, because, we have, Mandy who likes to throw sand yet. She hasn't even thrown that. All right. We like to have that. Plus, we like to have an apron because there's water, and if you don't turn on the water just right, or pour water, you get it all over yourself. We don't want to have our hair in it, so those of us who have longer hair like to tie it back. Make sense? Those are things are practical. We also learn, Caitlin, right, that we don't wear open-toed shoes. And why is that?
So we don't drop stuff.
And if we do drop stuff, what happens?
We don't protect you.
Yeah. It would be awful to drop glassware on your feet. Now, again, I'm just saying this because, and Caitlin did exactly right. Mrs. Wells, I broke something. Are you hurt? No, she cleaned it up. No questions asked. Don't be embarrassed, but you don't know how much stuff I break in a day. I go back there, get a beaker off the shelf, and I drop it and I break it, so don't feel bad. The only time you feel bad about breaking something is if you throw it at somebody purposely.
Are you looking at me? I never did that.
Okay, so be very careful. I want to show you an example. I've had some students already turn in some stuff. Okay, I want to just use Genevieve's because this is what happens. Now, these are going to be due on Thursday for you, and I'm going to tell you why you want to get it done early. This is Jenny's. Jenny did hers on Google Docs. She sent it to me and she shared it with me. You share it with me on wellsp78@gmail.com. That's where you share it. You go there and notice that she wrote her name. She wrote Jaden Monson's name. She labeled it really, really nice. So when I see it, I go, okay, this is what I do. Now, she wrote everything here, and it's pretty basic because I've already done the procedure for you. You don't have to really do it on your own. She wrote a hypothesis. That was good. She put her tables in. Again, Google Docs does have a place where you can insert tables. Wrote all her tables. She answered it the way, so I could understand what the questions were. And then she did the real world chemistry. And then she did this. She wrote a conclusion. Now, if you notice that I read it, I got this one, and I said, hey, that last sentence is a little bit unclear to me. Now, her lab report isn't due till Wednesday. Now, she goes back and checks this because I haven't graded it. I just wrote a comment. This statement seems like it needs a validation. Maybe you want to fix it, right? Isn't that cool? You get to do your lab report, get it done a little bit early. Teacher reads it, says, hey, you want to fix it? Hey, you forgot your hypothesis. Or your conclusion's unclear. And I even gave her ideas of what to write for it. There. This statement seems to want to lead into a validation or statement of reason. Like, when working with chemicals, great care must be taken to transfer the chemical from one container to another, as it may cause damage or an unwanted reaction. Safety is always a priority in the lab. Because in her statement, also I learned what safety precautions to take when using more dangerous chemicals. Doesn't that seem kind of like she should add something to that?
Yeah.
It didn't seem like, it didn't seem done. It wasn't done. It wasn't like, like at a 165 or 155 if you want it rare. It just wasn't done. So I added. Now, Jenny can go back on her lab report. She can go back and check this out, and guess what happens? She can read my note and go, oh, I can fix this. Okay, and also do you notice on Google Docs, you have until 11:59 that night, on Thursday night, to turn it into me. And it not be considered late.
That's when this is due.
11:59 Thursday night. Got it? And you know what the cool part is? I can see exactly when you turn the stuff in. Not only that, but Jenny can say, Mrs. Wells checked it almost at 7:30 this morning. All right? And then today I got 2 more to check. But do you understand? I can keep checking that for you. Isn't that, it's kind of a nice little tool? Like for this now, you're going to get another lab that you're going to be able to do. And boy, if you can get that stuff going, because a lot of times you're going, I don't have anything to do today. Like you go to your TTA, I have nothing to do. Heck, you can always be writing the lab report. It's just the way it goes. With that in mind, I also am a firm believer in saying, I don't think you'll have to wait around for each other. So-and-so's absent. I don't think we have to wait around for each other. So I'm going to share, this is your assignments until September 15th. Ready? You like that idea?
Yeah.
Okay, September 15th, this is your assignments, and I'm going to tell you how to use it. Would you pass one back to Destiny, please? And I'm going to tell you why this is so amazing. Oh, it's not amazing, but it's really nice. I know, I'm coming. Oh my gosh, you didn't forget your little piece. Oh my gosh.
Short joke.
Hey, there's sometimes when you reach perfection, when you finally reach perfection, you don't have to get so tall. I reached it at 5'1.5". So here we go.
I'm so reaching.
Okay, here we go.
Wait,
I want to go over this with you a little bit, see?
Are we like halfway through all this already?
No.
Because aren't we on the lecture right now?
Okay. Yes, we are still in the lecture. So here we are. We did the review lab safety. Remember the video? Some of you, you'll have to see the video. But there's a quiz on my site. All right, that you have to take. And you email me the results. There's also a review lab equipment. There's that PowerPoint. Remember I told you about that PowerPoint that will always be accessible to you? But there's a little quiz on there. Here's the beauty of the quiz. You have to get 30 of them correct.
Oh.
So no, that means if you have to do 40 of them to get 30 of them correct,
Oh.
okay, they'll keep asking you questions until you get 30 correct.
Nice.
Okay, it works. All right, okay, this is the first lab we did. The lab we did is lab techniques and lab safety. The next lab is the effective use of a Bunsen burner. And then there's a video on chapter 1, section 4 of your book, which I will give you your passwords for. I have to make one for you yet. Then you're going to do the lab, the scientific method, which is on that shelf right there. We have our 2 lectures. This is going to be like super. This isn't even going to take 2 days. Metric system and graphing, please. That should be like 10 minutes. All right. We have 2 textbook assignments. We have an online worksheet that you can do. When you get on Chrome, what I want you to do is I want you to upload the extension called Cami, if you haven't done so. I don't know if you've heard about it, but Cami reads, you can write in a PDF. pretty cool. You can write on the PDF. So you can download the PDF into your Chrome. You can insert the text. You can insert images. It costs you money to do images, but you can type in there with this thing called KAMI. It's pretty cool, and it's free. You're going to do a data analysis worksheet, which is on that. The accuracy and precision lab, I don't have run off because I ran out of printing privileges.
Already?
Well, because I ran my labs off. Your labs alone took a lot. Okay? And that's why I have the one in the back. If I don't get them in time, I will go and run them off on my own. Okay? And I have the assessment geared for September 15th. Now, the reason I've done this is because we have PSAT testing, we have Labor Day in there, we have something else going on, some scrubs. We have a bunch of, not scrubs, but we have a bunch of stuff going on. So it's a tentative September 15th. If you get done with all this and want to move on, I will have the new stuff ready by September 10th for the next chapter. You can do the labs anytime you want. Once I set up the lab, it's always going to be available until the test date. After the test date, the labs will no longer be available. Yes?
So we all just kind of work at our own pace?
Yes.
Awesome.
So, for example, let's say and what the kids have found out last year, they really like to work on a lab. They go around and say, hey, when are you doing that lab? You're not doing the lab today? They do the lab. Because when there's only like 2 groups doing the lab, guess who gets a lot of attention?
2 groups.
Those 2 groups doing the lab. So you get a real, Mrs. Wells is always available then to help you along. Does that make sense? So I prefer it when you do labs on different days. I know that seems like, well, isn't that a lot of work? No, the chemicals are out. Big deal. All right? I don't care. It's really nice to work with you and see what you're doing a little bit. But does everyone understand? You still have a timeline, right? You still have a timeline. This is when it's all done. But you can do this as you have to adjust your time. Look at your schedule to see where you're going to fit all this in. If you miss a day, like today, somebody's missing, what am I doing? I'm recording, so that's always available. I just upload it to YouTube. Bada bing, it's there. Yes.
Audio? For the
No.
test book assignments, would you prefer us to type it out? Or
Yep, Google Docs. I would prefer it, however, I'm going to put an exception in there. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I have a folder that says chemistry period 3. You just throw it in there. Because when we get into more math, I don't know about you, but I do not like typing math stuff.
Yeah.
That just seems very difficult to get all that math stuff typed in. It takes more work than it's worth. Especially the Chromebooks do not have the numeric keypad where on a computer you would. So, and the cool thing about this is that it's available anytime. You just have to have internet. Okay, can I do one more thing? Does everybody know where to find my, is this it? If you want to find where I'm going to be looking at, source. Okay, this is my Symbaloo web mix. If you go to PWells Chemistry web mix, you'll get to this page. And this is the PWells Science News. And if you open that up, there goes that. Here is or you can just learn or just print that site down. But this, I won't be adding stuff. Here's your lab equipment. Your safety, I believe, is on this page. Well, there's your laboratory safety quiz.
So that's one of them?
Yep, that's one of the quizzes. The other one, I believe, let's go lab equipment. Okay, and you go to, there's that, right? You can go through the slides, and then you can go to that site, and you start your quiz. And then you email me the results.
So when
You have to get 30 of them right. If it takes you 50 questions to get 30 right, you do 50 questions to get 30 right.
You're not going to get a 60%.
No. no. I mean, if you've got, however, my suggestion is if you're really doing poorly on it, I mean, that means you just need to review it more. Some is pretty basic, but some of them are pretty hard. Some of them and then when you start getting too many questions, they're going to give you things that we haven't really gone over. Because there's some stuff that we don't have to use right now. So with that in mind, does everyone have an idea how this class is going to work a little bit? I want you, because some students, they work on the textbook. If I said, okay, here's your textbook assignment. Okay, I'm going to use Ella as an example. English is not her first language. So when Ella has to read a textbook assignment, right, and she has to search for the answers in here, it's not going to be as easy for maybe Mandy. Make sense?
Yep.
So she needs more time. I want to give her more time. Make sense? That makes sense to me. I don't think it makes sense for us to go, to wait around. If you can't, like, for example, if I have somebody that says, let's say if somebody's very artsy craftsy and we're going to, even the test I'm looking at, the test I'm looking at for this one is not probably going to be traditional, what's the SI unit for maths? It's not going to be like that. It's going to be something a lot different. I might have you work in groups together and you have to present a play or poem or song about the metric system.
Cool.
Yeah, remember that last time?
Mm-hmm. Or you can write poetry, a serious poetry on the beauty of lab safety. Let's be creative. Science is not just all about, we have to have creativity because creativity makes us think. When we can be creative and think and bring ideas, aren't we going to be better? Yes. Are there any questions so far? Yes.
Did we have this in today?
No, because you have to do a formal lab. No, I never want to see that again.
Oh. Okay.
That's a very good question, Maya, though. A lot of students think, well, do you want this back? This little piece of paper back? No, I don't, because really what should be, your lab report should have it all on there, right? Yes. Now, there are some labs that we are not going to do formal lab reports. I will tell you which ones those aren't. Okay? If it says you're going to do a lab, it means automatically a formal lab report. If I say it'll be a lab, blah, 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 no formal lab report. I will write it on this sheet. Yes? Make sense? Okay. Are there any questions? Destiny.
Can you access all this if you went to the Mortgage College and then click your name so you have to type it in exactly?
Or just go PWells Chemistry Web Mix. Symbaloo Web Mix. PWells. Well, duh.
Wait, why don't you have can you have your website hooked up to that or no?
Yeah, but hey, do you know Mr. Wilhelm?
Yeah.
Do I need to say more?
No.
No. Is there a space?
No, I'm just telling you that you're going to do a web search. And then once you get the web search, save the URL. Do it once, save the URL. Does that make sense? Just bookmark it. So when you find it, just bookmark it and you have it. Ta-ta. Make sense?
So if I wanted to do this,
How was your weekend, Ben? Good? Sue?
so you said all the textbook assignments are going to be in Google Docs?
If you want them to be, you don't have to.
Okay.
Sue, I did have some students whose handwriting is very, very bad. But again, if you're working with math,
Just write it out.
just write it. I mean, if you want to do Google, if you think, okay, I can do all this in Google Docs. But if you can't, just put a piece of paper and hand it in. It's a chemistry folder. Sam, do you want to see? Go back. I don't know if it's blue. It's in that basket, that brown basket there. There should be one that says chemistry period 3. And since I recycle everything, I just kind of change the numbers.
We'll just
Chemistry, period 3. It's a white one, it's a clear one.
Rolling across.
All right? Okay, so, and also critters, if you turn in a Google Doc to me, or whatever you turn in lab report, and I don't respond, just remind me. My feelings don't get hurt, because just like I remind you to do things, feel free to remind. Mrs. Wells, have you looked at my lab report yet? When did you hand it in? If you say 2 minutes ago, then no. Okay? But if you tell me, Miss Wells, I've been waiting for 48 hours. But I have, today who do I have here? I showed this one, right? Whose is this? That's Jenny's. Brittany turned hers in, and Yost turned his in. So, Yost. Austin? Overby.
So we write.
What?
Okay, which question? Ask.
So the layout of that, we have to type all that out and then our questions.
Yeah.
But we don't type the question.
It's in the layout of this.
Okay.
Okay, and do you understand why that's a good skill? To be able to write a sentence so that people know what the question is? It's a really good skill.
I thought you said we didn't write the question.
You don't, but you write the answer like I would know what the question was.
Okay.
I'll just use whoever this
You turn
is.
the question into a statement.
Right, so they say, why weren't the excess reagents put back in the bottle? The excess reagents were not put back because the salt and sand that were excess would contaminate its original container. So the question would be for that sentence, if you would look up here, why weren't the excess reagents put back in their original containers?
Okay, I see.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, another thing to be very careful of, if you decide to do a copy and paste, it becomes very evident when I'm reading them, especially if they have the same typos. Right? But it becomes very evident. And then I also look at it and go, why would you need to do that? You're working at your own pace. Why would you need to copy and paste anybody else's work? If you think about it, the only time you have till September 15th to get all this in. Think about it. Why would you copy? It's, there's due dates, right? There's a due date, but why do you need to copy? No. Most definitely not. So therefore, I have no problem with you guys sitting around saying, hey, what do you think the answer to this is? And you talk about it. Is that copying? No, it's just like you're having a conversation. I don't know. What do you think? Well, I'm not sure. Well, let's ask Mrs. Wells what she thinks. However, Mrs. Wells will listen to what you think, and I'll probably say, well, why do you think that? I do not like to give direct answers. Sorry. I'm not sorry. No, I'm just reading what he's writing. The filter was very dirty. Define dirty. I could do that, couldn't I? Just to be mean. Do you understand how as a science teacher I can almost pick out anything and go, why would you write that?
Yeah.
Okay, how many minutes do you have left? 10. I have to get you a password, but I do have the passwords for everybody else. Let me write that down because I'm old and forgetful.
Our books are online, right?
Yep, and that's what I'm giving you the passwords for.
Do we use is it HRW or something like that?
It's right there. It's
Technically,
I wish all teachers used the same. No, all the same, but the books are McGraw-Hill, aren't they?
There's a lot of
Some
teachers.
of them are every class has a different website, so you almost have a different username for everyone. Those has two different websites.
The website is right there in purple, connected.mcgraw.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the right one.
Miss Wells, can I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
You have to go to my
You registered as a business, that's why I put it on there. Okay.
Those questions are nothing.
Because I made it before you told me that. Okay, it's fine.
I stayed on it. I could be a
Also,
boy.
I have a
I have a classroom.
Alright, so
So there's some.
an older guy and an older
This
girl.
happens to this.
And I was like,
Oh, I don't, I
keep that. Like, I was like, I'm gonna make some like
It's
fly
the same about-
And then you wanna put, no, and then you wanna put, it's for me, so I can hand them out.
Oh, gee.
Oh,
And I was like,
Connected.mcgraw, that's your website right there.
I started moving like really fast. Like, I was the only one on the water.
And see,
And you flew up. And I was like, freaking out. I was like, oh, we flew up now. Like, I'm so scared.
Stop.
Or the girl like that, like stuck in the road.
My mom was so hard. And for kids, it's like some kids, like, it's really slippery, but my boat dog,
So,
he knocked his head
this
really hard, and his
not
mom grabbed it. Quit crying, you're not even hurt.
That's my
So
life.
bad.
Well, you should have done it.
Broke my leg.
But it didn't happen until September 10th.
Yeah, you would be, but it'd be good for me. Would not, I would frown at
Like,
That makes sense.
but it sounds
I
weird.
was like freaking out. I was like, you are not too small. Like, I can see you too. Like, help me pull him up. Last thing I ever did, it started hitting me. Yeah. I was back on the not very best game. And I had to pull carry on and get back to shore. So then I was like, shh. He was like, I was like, what are you doing?
Wait, so we knew just about this like same whole thing, right?
Please stop touching me.
I don't want to pretty much.
Mandy?
Like, this is for the one we just did, so this will all be like the same. We'll just have to fill in
I was just,
this.
what is this password for?
Connected, so you're online textbook.
Yeah. It's so I like you laugh at me all the time.
Are these all capital letters?
Yeah, that first one, just the way it is. Okay, the first word is your, excuse me, shh. The first one, after your name, the first one is your username, and the second one is your password.
Wait, this is for our symbol.
Nope, this is for your online textbook.
You don't have an account for symbol
Fancy.
like us.
No, you can make your own account. Well, see, what I like, a lot of kids I've done in the past have taken, they make their own symbol site, and they put everybody, all their sites on that one. And Chrome has a tendency to remember everything. So you can go and say, oh, I have to do Mr. Heddick's Blackboard night. Like, I'll show you my work one. See, this is I have different tabs. Here's chemistry when I taught geometry. Here's my work one. I have my email, Infinite Campus, Blackboard, Arrow, all this.
Why do you have locks on them?
What do I have blocks on them?
Yeah, like your chemistry and locks.
That's so that if you go in, you can't change mine. See, when you use mine, it's locked. But,
We can still view it though.
right, you just can't change it. So, like this and this is my, I do go on this one. You notice I have a lot of chemistry right here. This is all chemistry.
Wait, so since that one is not locked, you can change all that?
I don't know why this one's locked, honestly. Am I still recording? Recording. Oh, I have 7 minutes left.